Admiral James Wells stood at the massive window of the Galactic Council headquarters, his weathered face reflecting in the reinforced glass. Below him, the capital city of Centauri Prime sparkled with the artificial beauty that only the seat of galactic power could achieve. But his mind wasn't on the view. It was on the 3 colony ships that had vanished in the past month. The year was 2487, and humanity had earned its place among the stars through hard work and determination. Yet now, something was very wrong. Wells adjusted his blue uniform and checked the time. The council meeting would begin in 10 minutes, and he needed them to listen this time. The council chamber was a grand circular room with seats for representatives of 50 different species. Wells took his assigned place, noting how the other members seemed to drift away from the human section. The council president, a tall figure with gleaming silver skin, called the meeting to order. "Admiral Wells," the president's voice echoed through the chamber. "You have once again requested emergency discussion time. The council grows weary of these human concerns." Wells activated his display, projecting the flight paths of the missing ships. 3 colony vessels, each carrying 10,000 people, have disappeared without a trace. The Stellar Wind, the Pacific Dream, and the New Dawn, all gone in the Orion Arm region. This cannot be a coincidence. A reptilian council member flicked his tongue dismissively. "Space is vast, Admiral. Ships get lost. Perhaps human navigation systems are not as advanced as you claim." Wells kept his temper in check, but his hands gripped the podium tightly. "Our ships are equipped with multiple redundant systems. They don't just get lost. We've detected unusual energy signatures in the region." Suggesting nothing, interrupted another member, their crystalline form shimming with apparent annoyance. "The Orion Arm has been extensively mapped. There are no threats there." Back in his office after the failed meeting, Wells sat at his desk, running his hands through his gray hair. His private terminal beeped. A message from Earth Command. As he read it, his face grew darker. A 4th ship had gone silent. He was about to send a response when something caught his eye. His communication scanner had picked up an encrypted transmission between 2 council members. Normally, he would ignore it. Diplomatic courtesy and all that. But something about the encryption pattern seemed off. Wells pulled up his decoder and started working. He'd learned a few tricks during his days in intelligence that the council didn't know about. The message began to clear up. "Humans getting too close. Adjust harvesting schedule. Maintain denial protocol." His blood ran cold. Wells immediately sent a priority message to Captain Thomas at Earth Defense Force. "Suspicions confirmed. Council compromised. Initiate deep surveillance. Authorization code. Wells 7 Delta 9. Over the next few hours, Wells maintained a careful facade of frustrated acceptance. He attended 2 more meetings, nodded at the right times, and even apologized for his excessive concern over the lost ships. But his mind was racing, analyzing every interaction he'd had over the past 5 years on the council. The pieces were falling into place, the way certain members always steered discussions away from deep space exploration. How trade routes were subtly adjusted to avoid specific sectors. The casual dismissal of any species' security concerns. That evening, as artificial night fell over Centauri Prime, Wells stood again at his window. This time, he wasn't admiring the view. He was counting ships, noting how the Council's peacekeeping fleet had grown larger over the past year. His communicator vibrated silently. A message from Thomas. "Surveillance drones deployed. First data packets incoming. Sir, you need to see this." Wells looked one last time at the glittering city below. Humanity had fought hard for its place among the stars, but they had never faced something like this. The Council wasn't just ignoring the disappearances. They were hiding something massive. He sent one word back to Thomas. "Begin." The calm was ending. Humanity would soon show the galaxy why they should have taken Earth's warnings seriously. But for now, Admiral Wells straightened his uniform and prepared for another day of pretending everything was normal. The storm could wait. just a little longer. Captain Michael Thomas stared at the holographic display aboard the EDF Vigilant, his flagship hidden behind the dark side of Jupiter's moon Europa. The data from the stealth drones was unlike anything he had expected. What appeared to be empty space on official maps was actually teeming with activity. "Run the scan again," he ordered his sensor officer. "I want to be absolutely certain." The officer nodded, and the hologram refreshed. The same result appeared. Massive ships, hundreds of them, moving in formations that could only be military in nature. Their design was unlike anything in the Council's database. "Sir," his communications officer called out, "another distress signal fragment detected. Same pattern as the others." Thomas walked to the comm station. For weeks, they had been picking up pieces of broken distress calls. Each one lasted only seconds before being cut off by some kind of advanced jamming technology. But those few seconds told a horrifying story. He played back the latest fragment. "They're taking everyone. Massive ships. People in stasis. Please help." The captain's tablet buzzed with an encrypted message from Admiral Wells. "Council meeting proceeding as expected. No acknowledgement of threats. How many ships confirmed?" Thomas sent back the count. 347 unknown vessels, all massive in scale, all operating in sectors marked as empty space on official maps. The Council wasn't just ignoring the threat. They were actively hiding it. In his private quarters, Thomas reviewed the tactical simulations. Earth's fleet was strong, but these unknown ships were larger than anything humanity had ever built. Traditional tactics would be suicide, but humanity had a few cards left to play. The door chimed. "Enter," Thomas called out. His chief engineer walked in, carrying a small device. "It's ready, sir. The new stealth system has passed all tests. They won't know what hit them." Thomas picked up the device, humanity's secret weapon. While the Council thought Earth was focusing on conventional ships and weapons, they had actually been developing something entirely different, something that would change the rules of space warfare forever. His tablet buzzed again. This time, it was a priority alert from one of their deep space listening posts. The unknown fleet was on the move, and their course was clear. They were heading toward the next human colony world. "All hands to battle stations," Thomas ordered over the ship's comm. "Prepare for silent running." The Vigilance crew moved with practiced efficiency. They had trained for this, even if they hadn't known exactly what this would be. As the ship powered up its new stealth systems, Thomas sent a message to all Earth Defense Force vessels in the system. "Protocol Omega is now in effect. This is not a drill. Maintain radio silence and await coordinates." Across the solar system, humanity's ships began to move. They slipped away from their assigned patrol routes, disappeared from official tracking systems, and gathered in predetermined rally points. The Council's sensors would show nothing unusual, just routine patrol movements. Back on Centauri Prime, Admiral Wells attended another Council meeting. He watched as the members discussed trade regulations and minor border disputes, all while pretending not to notice when 3 different representatives quietly left the chamber to check private messages. Wells' own tablet showed him everything: the enemy fleet movements, the gathering Earth forces, the final preparations for humanity's response. He kept his face neutral as he voted on a proposal about agricultural tariffs. A message from Thomas appeared. "All ships in position. Stealth systems operational. Awaiting your command." Wells looked around the Council chamber one last time. These beings had either betrayed humanity or been fooled themselves. Either way, they would soon learn a harsh lesson about underestimating humans. He sent back one word: ready. The pieces were in place. The next few hours would change the galaxy forever. As Wells listened to the Council drone on about minor regulations, he allowed himself a small, grim smile. They had no idea what was coming. The black box was damaged, its casing warped by extreme heat, but it still worked. Captain Thomas watched as his technical team connected it to the Vigilance computers. They had found it floating in space, exactly where their calculations suggested one of the colony ships would have been attacked. "Data recovery at 60%, announced the lead technician. "Playing main sensor feed now." The holographic display flickered to life, showing the colony ship's final moments. Thomas leaned forward, his hands gripping the console's edge. The footage started normally. The ship cruising through space, 3,000 colonists sleeping peacefully in their pods. Then everything changed. Massive ships appeared out of nowhere, their hulls covered in technology that seemed to bend light itself. They surrounded the colony ship in seconds. The crew's panic was clear in their transmissions. "Unknown vessels, this is the Earth colony ship Morning Star. We are a civilian vessel." The transmission cut off as energy beams lanced out from the attacking ships. But they weren't trying to destroy the colony ship. They were disabling it systematically, section by section. "Sir," called out his second officer, "you need to see this part." The footage showed the attackers boarding the ship. Thomas felt his blood run cold. The beings were tall. Their bodies seemed to shift and change as they moved, like living mercury. They went straight for the stasis pods, disconnecting them with practiced efficiency. "Send this to Admiral Wells immediately," Thomas ordered. "Full encryption." But before they could, another alert sounded. His communication officer's face went pale. "Sir, we're picking up a real-time distress call. It's happening again. Right now." Thomas jumped to action. Location: Colony Outpost Delta 7. Small research station, 40 people. Plot and intercept course. Emergency speed. Activate the stealth system. The Vigilance engines hummed to life as they raced toward the outpost. On the bridge displays, Thomas could see the same massive ships approaching the small research station. But this time, they weren't going to get their prey. His tablet buzzed. A message from Wells. "Council meeting in emergency session. They know something's wrong. Don't wait for authorization. Save those people." Thomas smiled grimly. "Weapons, target their engines. Let's see how they like being surprised." The Vigilant dropped out of faster-than-light travel right behind the attacking ships. Thanks to their new stealth technology, they were completely invisible. The enemy vessels continued their approach to the research station. Unaware they were now the hunted. "Sir," his tactical officer reported, "I'm picking up energy readings from the enemy ships. They're charging weapons." "Not today," Thomas said quietly. "Fire." The Vigilant's new quantum torpedoes struck with devastating precision. The enemy ship's engines exploded in silent bursts of light. As they drifted helplessly, Thomas ordered teams to board them. What they found confirmed their worst fears. The ships were filled with stasis pods, thousands of them. And not just humans. There were beings from dozens of species, all carefully preserved like specimens in a cosmic collection. Back on Centauri Prime, Admiral Wells walked into the Emergency Council session with the black box data loaded on his tablet. He didn't bother waiting to be recognized by the Council President. "I have proof," he announced, his voice cutting through the chamber's chaos. "Proof of who's been taking our people. And proof that some of you knew about it." The council chamber erupted in shouts and denials. But Wells simply activated his tablet, projecting the footage for all to see. The images of the mercury-like beings caused several council members to suddenly go very quiet. "These aren't just random attacks," Wells continued. "This is a harvesting operation, and it stops today." He sent a signal from his communication device, a single word that would launch humanity's carefully planned response across the galaxy. Strike. The breaking point had been reached. There would be no more diplomacy, no more denial. Humanity was going to war. Commander David Reed stood on the bridge of the EDF Striker, watching as 300 human warships dropped out of stealth simultaneously. The enemy's secret base hung in space before them, a massive structure built into an asteroid, completely unaware of the death that surrounded it. "All ships reporting ready," his tactical officer announced. "Stealth systems holding. They still don't see us." Reed allowed himself a small smile. The enemy had never imagined that humans could develop technology to hide entire fleets. They had grown too confident, too careless. That would be their last mistake. "Send the signal," Reed ordered. "All ships, commence attack." Across space, human vessels opened fire as one. The asteroid base's shields flared to life. But too late. Quantum torpedoes and plasma beams struck with surgical precision, targeting weapon emplacements and hangar bays. The enemy ships, caught powered down in their docks, never had a chance to launch. "Sir," called out his sensor officer, "detecting power surges. They're trying to activate their emergency systems." Reed nodded. "Just as we expected. Execute Phase 2. Small fighter craft shot out from the human warships, each carrying specialized electronic warfare packages. As the enemy tried to power up their systems, the fighters released their payloads. Cascading waves of energy disrupted every startup sequence, leaving the base helpless. On the main view screen, Reed watched as boarding shuttles launched from his support ships. The elite Earth military teams, trained for exactly this mission, would soon breach the base and free any prisoners they found. "Commander," his communication officer called out urgently, "we're picking up distress calls. They're trying to contact the Council." "Let them," Reed replied calmly. "By the time help arrives, we'll be long gone, and we'll have what we came for." Similar scenes played out across the galaxy. Human fleets struck 7 other hidden bases simultaneously. Each attack was precisely coordinated, using the intelligence they had gathered over months of secret surveillance. The first reports from the boarding teams came in. Base secured. Found stasis chambers, hundreds of them, multiple species, beginning evacuation procedures. Reed's tablet lit up with a message from Captain Thomas. Phase 1 complete. All primary targets neutralized. No human casualties. The commander allowed himself to feel a moment of pride. They had trained for months for this mission, developing new tactics and technologies. The enemy had never seen it coming because they had underestimated humanity's determination and ingenuity. "Sir," his tactical officer reported, "enemy reinforcements detected. 3 capital ships dropping out of faster-than-light travel." "Show me," Reed ordered. The ships that appeared were massive, easily twice the size of Earth's largest vessels. Their hulls rippled like liquid metal, just as the reports had described. But Reed wasn't worried. "All ships, implement Maneuver Delta," he commanded. "Let's show them what else we've learned." The human fleet moved with perfect coordination. As the enemy ships charged their weapons, the Earth vessels seemed to multiply. Holographic projectors created dozens of false targets, while the real ships slipped behind their opponents using the new stealth systems. The enemy fired at the holograms, their powerful weapons passing harmlessly through empty space. Before they could realize their mistake, the real human ships struck from behind. Precise shots disabled their engines and weapons. "Enemy vessels neutralized," reported his tactical officer. "No casualties on either side." Reed sent a status update to Admiral Wells. "Primary objective achieved. Prisoners being evacuated. Enemy fleet neutralized. Awaiting further orders." The response came quickly. "Well done, Commander. Begin Phase 3. It's time to show the Council exactly what they've been hiding from the galaxy." Reed looked at the captured base, now under human control. This was just the beginning. The galaxy was about to learn that humanity wasn't just another species to be harvested and experimented on. They were a force of justice, and they were just getting started. Admiral Wells walked into the council chamber, his footsteps echoing in the stunned silence. Behind him, holographic displays showed real-time footage from the captured bases. The council members sat frozen, watching as human soldiers freed thousands of beings from stasis pods. "Let me introduce you to the collectors," Wells said, his voice carrying across the chamber. "The founding members of this council, and the greatest predators the galaxy has ever known." He pressed a button on his tablet, and new images appeared. The mercury-skinned beings morphed into different forms, sometimes appearing as known species, sometimes as something entirely alien. For centuries, they've been harvesting intelligent life across the galaxy, Wells continued, all while hiding behind the Council's authority. The Council president stood up, his silver skin rippling with anger. This is an outrage. Humans have attacked Council facilities without warning? Wells interrupted. Like how our colonies vanish without warning. Like how every request for investigation was dismissed without explanation. He pressed another button, and the chamber's lights dimmed. New holograms appeared, showing historical records recovered from the captured bases, thousands of species catalogued, studied, and stored like specimens. Some had vanished entirely, leaving nothing but samples in the collector's vaults. The Council wasn't created to unite species, Wells revealed. It was created to farm them, to watch them develop, then harvest the most promising for study. The collectors have been doing this since before humanity discovered fire. Several Council members tried to leave, but the doors remained sealed. Human Marines stood guard, their weapons ready but not raised. They didn't need to be. The evidence spoke for itself. "We found your research labs," Wells said, bringing up more footage. "We found the failed experiments, the discarded specimens, the genetic samples taken without consent. We found everything." The Council president's form began to shift, his humanoid appearance melting away. In its place stood a being of living metal, its surface constantly moving like quicksilver. "You understand nothing." The president's voice had changed, becoming deeper, more resonant. "We are the guardians of evolution. We guide species to their full potential. By imprisoning them," Wells challenged, "by treating them like lab rats. Some must be sacrificed for the greater good," the president declared. "This is how it has always been." Wells smiled grimly. "Not anymore." New reports began flooding the chamber's displays. More human fleets revealing themselves across the galaxy, striking at hidden collector facilities. Each attack precise, coordinated, unstoppable. The collector's carefully hidden empire was being dismantled in a single day. Humanity could have struck without warning, Wells told the chamber. "We could have simply destroyed everything we found. But instead, we chose to expose the truth, to give every species a choice." He turned to address the other Council members directly. "Check your records. How many of your own people have vanished over the centuries? How many colonies went silent, only to have their investigations blocked by Council authority?" The chamber erupted in chaos as representatives began accessing their historical databases. Centuries of unexplained disappearances suddenly made terrible sense. "The age of secrets is over," Wells announced. "Humanity didn't just develop stealth technology. We developed a way to detect the collector's cloaking systems. We can see everything they've hidden. And now so can you." The president's liquid metal form rippled with fury. "You don't understand the consequences of what you've done." "No," Wells corrected him. "You don't understand the consequences of what you've done. Humanity doesn't take kindly to being treated like cattle. And now, neither will the rest of the galaxy." Around the chamber, other Council members were receiving reports from their homeworlds. The evidence was undeniable. The collector's true nature was exposed, and with it, centuries of manipulation and lies. The truth had finally emerged, and nothing in the galaxy would ever be the same. Captain Thomas stood at the command center of Earth's primary fleet base, watching multiple screens showing chaos erupting across the galaxy. The Council was splitting apart in real time, as species after species chose sides in the growing conflict. Another delegation requesting immediate talks, his aide reported. "The Arcturus Federation. They say they have evidence of their own missing colonies." Thomas nodded. In the 3 days since the revelation, dozens of species had come forward with similar stories. Colonies that had vanished, ships that had disappeared, all previously dismissed by Council authority. "Send them to Meeting Room 3, he ordered. "And get me a secure line to Admiral Wells." The Admiral's hologram appeared moments later. Even through the projection, Thomas could see the exhaustion on his superior's face. Wells hadn't slept in days, coordinating with various species who were now eager to align with humanity. "The collectors are on the move," Wells reported without preamble. "Their hidden fleets are emerging from deep space, but they're not attacking. They're running." "Running where?" Thomas asked. "Unknown space, beyond the galaxy's outer rim. But they're leaving something behind." Wells' expression darkened. "Deadman switches in all their research facilities. If we don't secure them in time." He didn't need to finish. The loss of research data would mean thousands of trapped species might never be found or freed. "I'm sending you new coordinates," Wells continued. "Multiple species have volunteered their best ships to join our fleets. You'll be commanding the largest combined fleet in known history." The numbers appeared on Thomas's screen, and his eyes widened. Over 2,000 ships from 30 different species, all willing to follow human leadership, all united against the collectors. In another part of the galaxy, Commander Reed's task force had just finished securing another research facility. This one had been hidden inside a dead star, using its radiation to mask energy signatures. "Commander," his science officer called out, "you need to see this data." The collectors, they weren't just collecting species. They were trying to engineer something. Reed looked at the facility's research logs. The collectors had been combining DNA from hundreds of species, trying to create some kind of perfect being. The failed experiments were nightmare fuel. His communication officer interrupted. "Sir, priority message from the new Alliance fleet. They've tracked a group of collector ships to the Carina Nebula. They're requesting our support." "Plot a course," Reed ordered. "Maximum speed." Back in the council chamber, now serving as the headquarters for the newly formed Alliance of Free Species, Admiral Wells met with representatives who had chosen to stand with humanity. The collectors made one fundamental mistake, Wells told the gathered delegates. They thought their technology made them invincible. They never considered that their test subjects might surpass them. A reptilian delegate raised a clawed hand. "But how did humans develop such advanced technology without detection?" Wells smiled. "Because the collectors taught us the most important lesson of all, how to hide in plain sight. While they watched our official military developments, our real research happened in secret facilities throughout Earth's solar system." The chamber's main display showed the latest reports. More hidden collector facilities were being discovered every hour. More species were coming forward with their own stories of lost colonies and disappeared ships. The carefully maintained lie of council authority was crumbling. "We have a choice to make," Wells announced to the chamber. "We can let the collectors escape, let them hide in unknown space until they're strong enough to return. Or we can end this, forever." The chamber erupted in shouts of agreement. Species that had been enemies for centuries now found common cause. The collectors hadn't just united humanity against them. They had united the entire galaxy. Wells sent out a general broadcast to all Allied fleets. "The hunt begins. Don't let them escape. The galaxy belongs to the free." The shattered council was dead. In its place, something new was rising. An alliance built on truth and justice, not secrets and lies. 1 year later, Admiral Wells stood on the observation deck of humanity's new Galactic Defense Headquarters, watching ships from dozens of species moving through space below. Where the old council building had projected authority through grandeur, this facility emphasized transparency. Its walls were made of smart glass that could never be fully opaque. "Final report from the Outer Rim Task Force," Captain Thomas said, joining him at the window. "The last collector stronghold has been neutralized. Commander Reed's fleet made sure none escaped." Wells nodded, studying a holographic display showing the latest rescue statistics. "How many recovered so far?" "Over 2 million beings from 300 different species," Thomas replied. "The restoration teams are working around the clock. Some of these people have been in stasis for centuries, but our medical technology is helping them adjust." A group of ships caught Wells' attention. Massive hospital vessels, their hulls gleaming with the markings of the new alliance. They were heading out for another rescue mission, crewed by medical teams from 20 different species working together. The early warning network is fully operational, Thomas continued, pulling up another display. The system you designed. It's better than anyone expected. Nothing larger than a shuttle can move anywhere in Allied space without being detected. Wells allowed himself a small smile. The network had been humanity's gift to their new allies, a combination of their stealth detection technology and advanced sensor systems. Never again would the collectors be able to prey on innocent species. "Sir," Thomas said, his voice more personal now, "the Alliance Council is ready for your address." In the new council chamber, designed with multiple escape routes and transparent walls, representatives from over 100 species waited. Some were ancient spacefaring civilizations, others had only recently achieved faster-than-light travel. All were equals here. 1 year ago, Wells began, his voice carrying clearly through the chamber. We exposed a truth that shook the galaxy. We revealed predators hiding among us, treating sentient beings like specimens in a cosmic zoo. He paused, looking at the faces around him. So many different species, all united in purpose. But in doing so, we discovered something far more important. We learned that when free species work together, there is nothing we cannot achieve. The collectors thought they were advancing evolution. Instead, they taught us all how to evolve past the need for their kind of control. The main display activated, showing the next phase of the Alliance's plans. New colonies being established, protected trade routes, joint scientific missions. Species that had once been enemies were now working together on massive engineering projects. The last of the stasis pods will be opened this month, Wells continued. Every preserved being will have a chance to return home or to build a new life in our modern galaxy. The collector's victims will become part of our shared future. He touched a control, and the display showed the new defense fleet. Ships of all sizes and designs, but all carrying the same marking. A simple star representing the light of freedom. We've established new laws, new protections for all sentient species. No more hidden experiments. No more disappeared colonies. No more secrets that threaten the innocent. The age of predators is over. The age of cooperation has begun. As if to emphasize his words, alerts appeared showing another group of rescued beings awakening from stasis. Medical teams from a dozen species worked together, helping them take their first steps into a changed galaxy. Humanity didn't just strike a blow against the collectors, Wells concluded. We helped forge a new future. A future where strength comes not from domination, but from working together. A future where no species needs to fear the dark between the stars. The chamber erupted in applause. Outside, ships from across the galaxy continued their patrols, their crews no longer divided by species but united in purpose. The old council's lies had been swept away, and in their place stood something stronger. An alliance built on trust, justice, and the determination to ensure that no beings would ever again become specimens in another's collection. A new dawn had truly risen for the galaxy, and this time, everyone was awake to see it.